Good morning, children. Welcome back to our English class. Now, today we are going to continue with part 3, lesson number 6, traveling with grandfather Zoo. As we know, in part 2, we were introduced with one new character, and that's Aunt Mabel. Narrator told us that Aunt Mabel was a school teacher, right? But she was also terrified with reptiles. She was also terrified with snakes, that means, right? Aunt Mabel was also fond of delicious food. Now, narrator told us that Aunt Mabel actually picked up the tiffin basket thinking that she will come across and she will be able to eat a lot of delicious food from the basket. But she was not aware that in the basket there was a python. So there we ended the story. The student, what we will do is we will continue with the lesson, and as we know, we will read each and every line and understand what is the meaning of that particular line. Alright, so let us start the reading. "Oh, good!" exclaimed Aunt Mabel. "It's been ages since I tasted something cooked by your grandmother." Okay, so she is very excited and she said, "Oh, good," because the reason is her grandfather and narrator told her that don't worry, in the basket we have kept enough of delicious food for you. So, thinking that, she said, "Wow, very good." And it's been ages she actually has not eaten anything which has been made or cooked by grandmother. And after that there was no getting the basket away from her. She was assuming that there are a lot of good, amazing food inside the basket. So she is not ready to give this basket to anyone else, right? So glancing at it, I thought I saw the lid bulging. Now narrator said that somewhere down the line he thought that the lid was actually about to bulge, that means about to come up. But grandfather had tied it down quite firmly this time, and there was a little likelihood of it suddenly bursting open. But he thought that this time grandfather had tightly, actually firmly packed the basket. And there are little chances that, these particular basket will get open or get busted. All right, now let us come to the next point. An enormous 1950 Chevrolet taxi was waiting outside the station and the family tumbled into it. There was a huge taxi waiting outside, and the taxi actually came to pick up the entire family. Now Timothy got onto the back seat, leaving enough room for grandfather and me. So Timothy actually took, quite good place, and he took a back seat so that he can get enough place to sit. And he also thought that, he should leave some space for grandfather and the narrator as well. Aunt Mabel sat in front with grandmother, the tiffin basket on her lap. Now Aunt Mabel and grandmother, they both sat in the front, and of course the tiffin basket was actually on Aunt Mabel's lap. Yes. "Tell the taxi driver where to take us, dear," said grandmother. "He is looking rather nervous." So grandmother told Aunt Mabel, "Please tell the taxi driver where are we supposed to go. He is looking very nervous." Aunt Mabel gave instructions to the driver and the taxi shot off in a cloud of dust. That means very quickly taxi driver drove the taxi. "Well, here we go," said grandfather. "I'm looking forward to settling into the new house." So grandfather was really excited and he was looking forward to settle into a new house along with the family. Now let's see what happens next. Popeye perched loudly on grandmother's shoulder, kept one suspicious eye on the quivering tiffin basket. Now, as we know, Popeye was very naughty and mischievous. He was actually, quivering the tiffin basket with one eye. Quivering, the meaning is shaking with a rapid motion, okay? And he was screaming loudly, "All aboard!" He squawked, "All aboard!" That means, here we go, we reached. So when we got into our new house, we found a light breakfast waiting for us on the dining table. So yes, the moment they reached, they actually went inside the house, and a light breakfast, that means not much heavy, but a light breakfast was waiting for them on the dining table. "It isn't much," said Aunt Mabel, "but we will supplement it with the contents of your hamper." So Aunt Mabel said, "I have not made much, or I have not cooked much breakfast, But in case if we are more hungry, we will supplement it with your hamper. Now, students, over here, hamper means the basket with the lid. That means Aunt Mabel was having almost an eye on that hamper. The reason is she thought it is carrying a lot of delicious food made by grandmother. And placing the basket on the table, she removed the lid. So finally, she removed the lid. Now, the python was half asleep with an apple in its mouth. So, python was actually half asleep, okay, and with the apple in its mouth. Aunt Mabel was on eve to be tempted. She fainted away. Now, Aunt Mabel was actually feeling very tempted to eat the food, but the moment she opened the lid, she fainted away. Grandfather promptly picked up the python, took it into the garden, and dripped it over a branch of a guava tree. So grandfather immediately he ran away, he picked up the python, and he went to the garden side and dripped the python towards a branch of a guava tree. Now let's see what happens. When Aunt Mabel recovered, she insisted that there was a huge snake in the tiffin basket. We showed her the empty basket. You are seeing things, said grandfather. It must be the heat, I said. Okay, so now see what happens. Aunt Mabel recovered, and when she recovered, she insisted, yes, I have seen a python inside the basket. So grandfather says, no, you must have seen something else and it must be the heat. So they changed the topic and they said because of heat probably you must be thinking that there was a reptile inside. Grandmother said nothing, but grandmother was actually knowing everything what is happening, but still she said nothing. She kept quiet. But Popeye broke into shrieks of maniacal laughter. Maniacal laughter means he was laughing crazy, okay? Crazy laughter. And soon everyone, including a slightly hysterical Aunt Mabel, was doubled up with laughter. So now hysterical means unable to control the laugh. So in short, lastly, everyone started laughing. Okay, so Aunt Mabel finally she thought that it was just imagination because of heat. That means she has actually not seen the real snake, and the real snake, I mean the real python, was actually taken away or picked up by the grandfather. So here we go. The story ends here in a very fantastic and funny way. A lot of laugh and a lot of laughter. Okay. So, student, I'm very sure that you must have enjoyed this particular lesson, right? Alright, so now, children, it's time for value points. As we know, once we finish off with the lesson, we come across with the value points. That means we have given you part 1, 2, and 3 clubbed together, and we have made a beautiful summary. So, this particular summary means it's in short, what is this lesson all about? So, yeah, what you have to do is now this lesson is being taught to you by your teacher. You have to go through these value points one by one. Okay, so yes, this is the first slide. This is the second slide. You can read right now in your mind. Yes, there is one more slide over here. Kindly take out your pen and book so that in case if you want to make a note of any important statement, sentence, or any word, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, here we go. There's one more slide. So students, the intention to give you this value point is to understand in short what is this lesson all about. So now we are going to end this particular slide. Okay, done. So now normally what we do is once the lesson has been done, we alright children, so now it's time for reference to the context. Now we have taken one statement or one sentence which is from this lesson, and based on that we have asked you a few questions. So let us see how it works. Thanks, I said. If you keep bringing me peanuts all night, I might last until morning. I repeat, the question is, thanks, I said. If you keep bringing me peanuts all night, I might last until morning. So now, student, this is very easy question because we know who has said the statement and with what context this particular statement was been said. So the question is, who is being thanked and why? Yes, correct. The answer is the narrator is thanking Chips, that's the squirrel, for offering him the peanuts he collected. I repeat the question once again. Who is being thanked and why? The answer is the narrator is thanking Squirrel, that's Chips, for offering him the peanuts he collected. Now, question number 2. What is the tone of this sentence like? I'm very sure that narrator was not happy while stating this. The reason is he was very hungry and he was happy with at least he's getting some peanuts to eat. So definitely he has told this statement not in a very happy tone. So this tone was a sarcastic tone. A sarcastic tone means something which we say in on behalf of when we are not either angry, we are not either happy, but we are saying this in a very different manner. It's a taunt kind of a manner. So the statement is the tone of the sentence is sarcastic. All right. Now, the third one, what is the meaning of the word last in this sentence? The meaning of the word last in this sentence is it means survive. That means this particular the peanuts which he is going to give to the narrator, it is going to last. Hopefully, it should last till morning. That was the concern was. Okay. Now, children will come to the next slide. That is the question and answers. All right, now the first question is, in what ways was Timothy a perfect passenger? Yes, it's very easy and we know the answer. In what ways was Timothy a perfect passenger? Answer, Timothy behaved perfectly throughout the journey. There was no stealing from vendors, no shouting at coolies, no breaking of railway property, no spitting on the platform by him. Yes, and this is the reason everyone said that Timothy was a perfect passenger. I repeat the question once again. In what ways was Timothy a perfect passenger? Answer is Timothy behaved perfectly throughout the journey. There was no stealing from vendors, no shouting at coolies, no breaking of railway property, no spitting on the platform by him, which states that Timothy was a perfect passenger. Now, let us come to question number 2. In what ways was the train a squirrel's paradise? In what ways was the train a squirrel's paradise? Yes, we know the answer. Why squirrel was happy? Correct. The train was a squirrel's, that's a chip's paradise, because it was easy for him to befriend the many passengers who were traveling with roasted peanuts, a favorite treat. Yes. So squirrel was happy. The reason is the passengers, children and the grown up passengers were actually giving him roasted peanuts which they were purchasing from the vendors. And he was enjoying this because this was a wonderful treat for him. And that's the reason Squirrel think that this train was a paradise for him. Yes. So dear children, uh, as we know that we are going to end this lesson over here. So now the next step is we are supposed to go through the worksheet. So you have to fill the worksheet, and you have to send this worksheet online for the teachers. All right. So dear children, before we could end this session, let us quickly go through the main, that's keywords of this particular lesson. As we know, shrieked, the meaning is saying something at a high pitch, that's loudly, right? Twigged. Twigged means twisted and pulled. As we know that parrot has twisted and pulled the ear of ticket inspector, right? Now, tugged. When we say tugging this particular basket or the large basket, so that means pulling the basket. All right. Contentedly. Contentedly means expressing something happily. All right. Then the next one we have is foray. Foray. That's foray means, a quick raid or a quick, you can say, snatching something from someone. That's foray. Then we also have something like distrust. Distrust is something which cannot rely on. So we cannot trust on something. That is called as distrust. Hastily. Hastily is basically quickly. All right. Then we have one more, that's hamper. As I said, hamper means a basket with a lid. Then we have last two main words. It's hysterical, means unable to control. So it was a historical laugh. Hysterical laugh, that means something which you cannot control. So the laugh kept on coming, right? Then a maniacal. Maniacal means a crazy. It was a crazy laugh. So yes, we have done the main keywords of this from this lesson. Now I want to say that before we could end this session, let us do a quick recap of this entire story. Well, we know that this particular story is written by Ruskin Bond, and the narrator has explained the story very nicely. He wanted to tell us that he was traveling from Dehradun to Lucknow Express, and while traveling, grandmother, grandfather, the narrator, and they had taken, pets along with them. So we know who these pets are. Yes, it's the parrot. That's the name of the parrot is Popeye. Then we also have tiger. Name is Timothy, and squirrel. It's Chips. And there's one more character. That's Python. Now, while traveling, they went through very excited and very joyful incidents, and they made all the passengers also entertain along with them. So, before they could reach to their destination, that's Lucknow Express, a lot of things happened in the train. So we had enjoyed this lovely incident, and we kept on laughing. And each and every time, or each and every part one and part two, had made us so anxious to know what is going to happen next, right? So, yes, even I was excited too. So yes, now we have already done part 3, and now we know the climax of the story. And this story made us laugh a lot in the end. And that was because of one character, that's Aunt Mabel. Yes, so true. So I'm very sure, children, you're going to explain this part 3 to your parents as well, and you're going to make them laugh along with you, right? I'm very sure you're going to do that soon. So before we could end this session, the first thing that we have to do is fill the worksheet and send it across online without fail, right? And I'm very sure that you must have loved this session very much. So I want to say thank you very much. Take care and bye bye.